parental guidance is advised.
Hello guys, and welcome to Night In with Joy Rongo. Kama kawaida, I'm your host Joy, and I am super happy for every person that has been following, commenting, telling us how we're inspiring you, the people who want to come on board and share their stories. Manze, I am so super bomb. I'm super excited that whatever we're doing here is really touching somebody. And today's episode is from a pretty lady. Hey, we guy kidogo nimuulize kama ni model Lynette. Lynette, I just introduced Tena. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Joy.
You're so pretty. Are you a model?
Yes, I do model. Actually. Yeah. So I guess let me introduce myself.
Yeah,
my
please,
name is
please.
Lynette Achieng Titus, popularly known as Queen Lynn on Instagram and in the jobs that I do. And I live in Nairobi. I have a sibling, a younger brother. We are two. My late dad is Luo. My mom is Kamba. So that's an interesting thing about me that many people don't know. I'm also very tall in real life. When most people meet me,
I was
in real
looking
life,
up on you.
Yeah, and I'm actually flat. So many times when I meet people, they're like, "Oh my gosh, you're very tall." So yeah, I'm almost 6 foot. I'm actually 5 feet 11 inches, and I do model. That's my passion. I like the fitness industry. I'm a fitness enthusiast. I work in the fitness industry as well. And basically, I spend most of my days just interacting with other women and connecting and motivating one another and just trying to be a better person and affect the ones around you also positively. Yeah, I could say that's a wrap up of who
you are.
Is.
And you're so composed, Yani.
Asante.
So Lynette, at least now we know who Lynette really is. And I'm right, you're a model. Like nimeona ni kama naweza kwa career coach or something.
25.
So just tell us, how's your journey now to where you are right now? How has your journey been?
I mean, it's not always been easy, most definitely. Many people look at me, let me start from now. Many people look at me now and see the finished product and think that it was very easy, or, oh, maybe she comes from a rich family and everything has been so easy for her. No. I come from very humble beginnings. I was born in Bere district. That's where I grew up. My parents started a very humble life. My dad his first job ilikuwa kukata nyasi. So it used to be like anakata nyasi uko kwa job wa kampuni na wanamlipa. And that's how he met my mom. My mom met my dad like the year after high school. And she tells me that when she met him, she just fell in love and she knew this is the man I want to be with, So she got married young, my mom that is, and she had me very young as well. But life was tough at that time because now when I look back at it, though, I remember like there are days when she was both of them were really struggling with us. Nakula ugali na skuma, saa zingine hakuna chumvi, That is like on the day-to-day life. But they loved me in the beginning. Everything was good. Until when my dad started having a drinking problem back in the day. And I think that came about when he found now a good job, a stable job, and you start making money, and suddenly you can enjoy a life that in the past you are not accustomed to, So it kind of inabeba kichwa yako, and you wanna go out there and do all these things you could never afford to do. So with the extra drinking, like the too much drinking rather, Dad also became violent. So he started exhibiting a lot of violence in the house. The way he would talk, the way he would behave with us in the house, it was bad. Sometimes he could just come home and he's in a bad mood for no reason. And then now he started beating mom. That's where things got bad because he was now physically attacking my mom. And when you're small, you can understand that there's something wrong, but you don't fully understand the depths of the trauma that you're witnessing and what's going on in your life and what it means. So I used to understand that dad has done something bad, but I never fully understood where it was coming from. And so that made me also very scared when I was a kid at home. You're scared of making a mistake. My dad was kidogo a perfectionist, so he wanted the good grades, he wanted good behavior, speak only when you've spoken to, kind of a thing, you know. I remember even sometimes I'd go to play and my mom would come and pick me from the playground ikifika sa karibu baba kutoka job, because she knows if he comes home at 5 and I'm maybe at the neighbor's house, it's going to be a problem. Yeah. So it was very authoritative and my way or the highway. Not long after that started, he chased us away, which was really confusing for me then. Because remember, I loved my dad. You know, I still do. But when I was a kid, like, my dad was my everything. William Tota Nangalia Babake, like, daddy, you know. So here was this person who is supposed to love me, who I love, and I think so highly of, but he's disapproving of me to the point where he's telling us to go. Why, you know? So that really broke my self-esteem all through the years, because I never fully grasped why my father, somebody that I loved so much, had that deep of an issue to the point where ajali mko wapi, unaona. So my mom always held on to me. That's the other thing. I can't say my mom the other day she's ever gone through challenges and she left me somewhere unattended, or she decided I'm tired of this life and I'm going to go and start off a new life. No, she always went with me. So I remember, like, one night, it lead up to us being chased away. Like, dad and mom got into a violent fight, and it was all because, you know, they're drinking, coming home late, you're not doing everything you're supposed to be doing in the house as a dad. And so they were just having a conversation, and before long, coffee, ngumi, you know. And I was an only child at the time. So I was looking at this thing firsthand. I'm the witness who's there. Before the neighbors come, I'm the one who's looking at all of these things. And so what that does, it breaks you down to the point where you feel like you're not worthy. Like, if your own dad, who is supposed to love you and protect you, ndo anapiga mamako hivo, ndo anakufukuza pande ingine, as a young lady, as a young girl, you start feeling like, maybe I'm not worthy of love. Yeah. Maybe there's something wrong with me.
You're the problem.
I'm the problem. Maybe kuna kitu. Kama maybe ni coexist kwangu ama, you know. It's very confusing, and I used to be very confused. But when I go to school, I used to interact with my classmates like nothing is wrong, because for me school became my outlet. For me school is the place I used to go and have fun. Wengine wakikasirika kwenda shule, mimi nangojea shule ifunguliwe, because I know when I'm in school, I have my friends. My teachers are my safe space. I can talk to them. They motivate me. They're happy with me. They're happy me being around. So I really thrived in school, and I made sure I was, like, in all the activities, even basketball, swimming, running, football, drama, music fest. Linet alikuwa huko. Kwa vitabu pia, I used to read a lot as well, because you're secluded most of the time. And I was always a very curious child. So I wanted to know more of the world. And so, mimi nilikuwa kale kasichana shule, tulikuwa na computer studies, tulikuwa na internet. So I'm already Googling things to see what's going on in Europe, in America. Because I knew that the world is big.
Yeah.
Again, just through the same dad, because my dad was a lifeist. So he exposed me as well to different things about the world. On the good days, he would teach me National Geographic. Nilianza kuwatch nikiwa sijui 2 years. So as I'm growing up, my mind is broadened, because I know that there are other things out there in the world. So when chaos started at home, I found my safe space in school and in books. So at some point now, dad ametufukuza. We don't have a place to stay. We were staying with different relatives. We stayed with a church pastor back then, because mom had some injuries from, you know, the fight that dad had brought upon her. Alikuwa hospitali, I remember ICU for quite some time. Mimi hiyo time nimekana na familia ya pastor, ndio wananichunga. So vile mama alipona, she came back and picked me, and we went to Mwea. My mom comes from Mwea. So we went to my grandmother's house, where my mom is born. We stayed there for some time. Natoka hapo. We went to Kangundo. At the time, my mom's sister was staying in Kangundo. She's late now. She took us in. She stayed with us for a long time. God bless her, Mama Rocky. She was so kind. Like, I'd say, out of all my aunties, not discriminating anyone's effort, but Mama Rocky used to be my safe aunt. Like, whenever I was there, I used to know that Mom is going to be okay, and I'm also going to be okay. But you know, you're out of school, so my then teachers from primary school used to support me a lot because I was a bright student. So there is a time when now a teacher spoke to my mom, and she would now coach me at home, like teach me kile kinaendelea kwa syllabus ya shule. Anakuja ananifunza ndio nisipitwe na wao wengine. Na exam time ananiletea mtihani nafanya peke yangu, anachukua results, anapeleka shule, ndio ana include kwa exam now ya the rest of the school. At least Lynette is somewhere, she's present in school. And thank God I will still do so well. I remember, like, some parents would ask why is my dad doing all of these things yet
You're a bright child.
I'm a bright child. Yeah, I'm not wale watoto wasumbufu or anything. And even if your kid is msumbufu or whatever, or your wife, you know,
that's
it's your family, that's your child. Like, you don't do some things. So at some point my dad got another woman, you know, a couple of them actually all through the years. So you would have this one come in, anakaka, mwingine anatoka, na mwingine anaingia. So again, growing up and watching someone who's supposed to give you that unconditional love deny you, but give other people, strangers, so much of it, it's a very confusing place. So I didn't fully understand the concept of love, because I felt like love is betrayal, because that's all I've ever experienced growing up.
And at this time when your dad was bringing in different women, like, how did you know?
At one point he brought in a woman while my mom and I were in the same house, like my mom's house. And unfortunately at the time what he would do is, when anakatia watu, maybe I think alikuwa anawaambia ana familia or something, and then now uwe unakubali maneno yake, then akikuleta una realize kumbe kuko na mtu huku mpaka na mtoto. But remember, my dad was a big man and he was very intimidating. He was like 6'3" and he was a big-bodied man, you know.
Height umetoka.
Yeah, I get my height from him. So he was very intimidating. My mom is short. My mom is like 5'4" there, if I'm not wrong. Me and my brother, we are taller than her. So you couldn't question him. And again, mali tunaishi huko Kiambere, ilikuwa ndani, interior, yani mko kwa forest. Hakuna civilization huko ati kuna watu wanaweza wakakuja. If somebody wants to keep something secret, they can keep it secret. Nobody will ever know. And again, I think that is what allowed it to go for so long, because everything is done in such a far away place. The rest of the family members are not aware. And if they're ever aware, there's someone who will control the narrative. Either he will go and tell them his own version, which is what happened most of the time. So anaenda anamwambia version yao, like maybe sisi tumemkosea ama tumemfanyia kitu mbaya na ndio amekasirika na sisi to justify.
Let's take a short break. Do not change the dial. We'll be back in a few. And we are back. Thank you for staying tuned. We're talking to Lynette. She's such a beautiful soul, manze. So Lynette, sasa what happens? Sasa umeletewa mume ameleta.
Yeah, so dad brought somebody else to the house, and she was a young lady. When I look back at it, she was very young, and she didn't know what she was coming into. Honestly, I think she didn't know, because she was very surprised when she walked in. But I remember her because I was already grown by then. Like, nilikuwa mtoto anaelewa nini na I think I was in class 3, class 4, and I was sharp, so I could tell this is not someone that I know. And it was very clear that this is a second wife, but it was peculiar to have her in the same house as my mom and myself. And this is a 1-bedroom house. This is where I've grown up. This is my home. And you bringing in somebody else, and suddenly they get to go to the bedroom and my mom comes to sleep with me. Like, it was very toxic. It was very confusing. And it breaks you down because you come to think that I'm not worthy to be loved by anyone, and so inakufanya una accept whatever treatment enye unapata. Unasema afadhali hajatufukuza leo, so hata kama ameleta huyu, afadhali leo hajatufukuza, afadhali leo hajatuchapa. And so that breaks you down in terms of your values and your standards for yourself. Unajikuta ni sawa, hata kama huo mtu amenifanyia madharau, it's okay, it could have been worse, you know. So you find that over the years, sauti yangu haikuwa as loud when somebody makes me angry, when somebody makes me upset, when somebody disappoints me, when somebody does something wrong to me, because umezoea ku accept that hiyo ndio portion yangu. Afadhali hiyo yenye niko nayo labda ingekuwa even more worse, which is wrong, you know, because anytime somebody crosses your boundaries, you're supposed to be able to speak up and tell them that no, this is not okay. Anytime somebody makes you feel less, and especially family members, you should be able to talk to somebody and tell them, I don't appreciate the way you're doing this and this. But even before we get to that, we need to have like standards set in place with families, because even now so many things happen in families and we don't want to talk about it. We don't want to speak about it. Hizo ni vitu tunafaa kuongea chini chini. Unaibisha watu wa nyumbani, unaibisha mzazi, unaibisha. No. I usually tell my followers, my beauties rather, that's what I call them on Instagram, that it's only the enemy who gives you the spirit of fear. God is a God of doing things in the open. And so now when I'm growing up, nilikuwa naanza kujidiscover, and I realized that no, what he did was not okay. How I felt was not okay. This is not the only way that I should be living life. There is more to life than this situation. And I guess also seeing my mom and seeing my brother in this state that they were in, ilikuwa inanipea motivation ya I need to send myself, kujituma. Na itaka nijitume ndo niweze kushughulikia hawa watu, because it got to a point where now dad cut contacts completely. After the lady came, stayed for a while, then she left. Then dad now moved us back to the village. So he just came and he was like, it's time for you guys to go back to the village. Mali walikuwa amenunua shamba na mamna wamejenga, but nyumba bado haikuwa imeisha. Nyumba ilikuwa halfway done, but he was like, you guys have to go back to the village, which was difficult because I'm coming from a place that's kidogo kind of a town. I have all the technology and amenities, and now you have to go back to the village. And he throws you there and does not want anything to do with you again. And it was tough on my mom as well, because she became sickly due to stress. So kama firstborn wake, I now felt it's upon me to do something with my life. And that is one thing that I can advise any young lady, any young guy who's going through that kind of a situation. You don't just sit there and cry about it. No. At some point, you'll have to wake up and say, no, I can do something. Hata kama utaanza na kuuza nyanya na vitunguu, as long as you're doing something different than prove the situation wrong, you know? So I looked at my mom there in the village, I looked at my brother there, and I was like, And I had that confidence, ile a God, because my mom also raised me in church, and she's a very religious woman even now.
And how old were you by then, now deciding?
This is finished Form 4. I'm 17 years old, because I was born in October. So by the time I'm doing my Form 4, ile tunafanya November, ndo nimeturn to 17. So nimekuja nyumbani December, na ndio sasa na deal na mnaishi ushago. Uko ushago sasa. And so I was like, no, I've gone to a good school, I'm bright, I can still do something with the situation. And of course, I was doing all of these things with prayer. I used to just tell God, tembea tu na mimi. The love I have for my mom and my brother, as I tell people, is what fuels me in my day-to-day life. I decided that even if dad is not going to be there at that particular point, I'm so sure that God can use me to be their breadwinner, to be their support system, to be their defender, to be a pillar, so that my mom can see some light, you know. Hakuna mtu ameandikiwa shida milele. So my first job was an M-Pesa agent. hapo kwa the local center in the village. That's where I used to serve my customers every day. Sometimes I'd borrow my mom's clothes, nikae presentable, because I was just a teenager, but nilikuwa nimeamua sitaki kukaa tu naambia mom nipe na tayari situation iko so tough. Then I got another job as a primary school teacher. Yes, guys, I have been a teacher. Respect teachers, it's not easy. It's one of the toughest professions because kids will test you. But it was interesting and it was fun to test my ability. So these jobs I'm doing and I'm also saving, because something in me is telling me that I don't think your father is gonna come through for you in the university. And my mom would also just advise me that as a young lady, you need to have your things in order. So I'd opened a bank account, had registered my NSSF, NHIF. I got those things at 18. KRA PIN, all those things. So I'm doing everything that I can not to get my mind to a dark place where I lose hope. And because I know there are so many people also who are waiting for me to fail, it would fuel me. Apana. We cannot allow the devil to win on this one. Linet, you have to keep pushing. So unfortunately, second year, after first semester, we're going to the second semester, my dad cut off paying my fees, cut me off, went MIA. I never heard from him, called him, blocked my number. Nothing could be done at that time, so I had to drop out of school. So when I dropped out of school, it was the biggest setback for me because I had thought so highly of myself at that time and I knew I was gonna graduate and I'm gonna make my mama proud and I'm gonna get this big job and do all these things. And then boom, you can't continue with your studies. So there I went off the rails for a while. I was an angry person. I was angry with the world. I was angry with God. I was angry. Like I was just, now that I look back, I was letting out my anger with the partying and the clubbing and, you know, just being a reckless person, but not reckless in the sense of unaumiza watu, unajiumiza wewe without knowing. Mungu ni Mungu wa restoration. So how can I ask God to keep me, and then when he offers me a chance to restore a relationship, I say no because alinifanyia hivi na hivi na hivi, na wewe Linet umefanyia watu wangapi makosa? Wewe na wewe umeumiza watu wangapi? Has God punished you for that? No. See, he's still keeping you. Allow that same grace on another person. So again, I reached out to my beauties because I was broke. I didn't have like money, you know. Kazi zilikuwa zimesimamishwa hiyo time. Watu wako nyumbani. There's nothing happening. And then your father has passed away and suddenly I'm the firstborn and I have to change my mind into this new setting, like I need to fix this thing and it's a funeral. And I remember going to the funeral home to view him, and it's one of the toughest things that I ever did, you know, and just to see that he's there and he's left me. But I also understood that God has a reason for everything, and I thanked God for bringing him back into our lives, even if it was towards the end. And I decided that now my mission as Linet would be to change the parts that I experienced of my life that were painful. I changed them to actually good things. So if you know, you grew up in a homestead where they were very mean, try be loving. If you grew up in a place where they told you don't matter, remind the ones around you how much they matter to you. That's the way to heal the wound. Because kama ulikanwa na wewe unakana mtu mwingine, you are only making your wound bigger. So where you are shown hatred, show love. Where you are shown you don't matter, remind people they matter. Where you are not giving any hope in your future, give somebody else a hope that their future can change, that their life can change. And so I ended up working with also ladies now on my platform who are in non-profit organizations like charities. Tuna collect pads. We did that drive and went to distribute them in Kakamega. I counsel my girls like on my Instagram as much as I can. They'll tell you, we give each other stories, my pages and my pages. And that is what now keeps me going, because I realize there's so much pain out there, but we are all hiding because there's nobody out there speaking about it. And that's why I was so honored when you guys called me to this show, because that is what we are doing, you know. We're inspiring other people and reminding them that God's grace is sufficient and one should never lose hope in themselves no matter how tough things get, God is always going to send you somebody who's going to move you from point A to point B.
Thank you very much, Lynette.
Thank you too.
Thank you for coming on board and sharing your story and
Asante.
you know, turning your pain into power.
Yeah, that's really cool.
You know, and turning your pain into power. And I don't know, you're such a blessing. Like I know how it feels to be raised by one parent, and the child trauma it affects growing up and everything. And just seeing you and the grace of God, and like, you know, you didn't allow your circumstances to define you, is something, you know, overwhelming. And so, like, it's a miracle, it's a blessing, you know. Keep doing what you're doing, keep inspiring women. You never know, you know. Reach out and help somebody, so that these people, somebody who's going through childhood trauma in their adulthood, they can know, you know what, you can conquer, you can come out of this, you know, alive. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you for staying tuned. Remember, you can always follow us on our social media platforms, Lady CLC, Joy Rongo, or TV47 on all social media platforms. And remember, do not allow your circumstances to define you. Never. You are not your situation. Stay blessed. I love you guys, and see you next week.